Alright guys, this is Willie from YouTube, and today's episode I'm going to be talking about the difference between the Democrat and the Republican Party and what this means for black men and black women. You will see that the policies favor one group of blacks and the other party favors another group of blacks. And what I would like to show in this video is how the Republican Party really favors black men and the Democratic Party favors black women. And in this video, I'm going to show the comparison of how I came to this conclusion. Now, we need to understand that both Democratic and Republican are both racist on both sides. So this video is not going to be about who's more racist than the other. We're just going to look at the policies and based on their histories, which party supports which party supports which black men or black women. Now, even with Biden and Trump, they also have a racist back history. So again, this video is not going to be about comparing one leader to the other leader. It's just going to be based on the fundamentals of the parties and what they represent. Because right now, both candidates are considered racist, so we're just picking the lesser of the evil. So now, the Republicans, they focus on small government, lower taxes, favors business people. Now, a lot of these rich black successful entertainers are starting to realize, people like 50 Cent and P. Diddy, Cardi B, all these entertainers are starting to realize that when they get to a certain threshold of over 400K, they see how the taxes can really kill them. And that's why a lot of these black male entertainers notice that taxes will get you into a lot of problems. Just speak to Wesley Snipe about it. So the Republicans, they focus on small taxes, lower taxes, because they're not putting so much money on government jobs. They, as Donald Trump would like to say, I would like to drain the swamp of all these people really occupying all these governmental jobs that really, when you have lower taxes for big businesses, that means they can use that money to put into their own business to build more and invest more into their business and also pay for more employees. But with the Democrats, they believe in big government, and the reason why they need big government is to have all these social programs such as welfare, and when you have welfare and all these high taxes, they need these high taxes to support all these government social programs. Now, a lot of women, you would say that in the black community, 80% single mothers. When you look at the black community, a lot of these single mothers, they need community programs, for food stamps, they need housing. So they would favor the Democratic Party because their focus is on bigger government, which means higher taxes. And of course, if you're in a lower tax bracket, you don't have to pay these high taxes. So it's better for you to be in a state that has high taxes because they'll provide you all these government programs. So these high taxes favor single mothers and children because of all the government programs. But if you're just a single guy, like me, then you would want smaller government so then you can work on your hustle and save more of that money for yourself. The next thing is the Republicans, they want increased military spending. Now, a lot of black men go into the military as for jobs, for education, and that's not something you really see with black women going into the military. So the Democrats, they believe that all this excessive military spending should really go to social programs that will benefit, again, the single mothers and the children. So they would lean more towards the Democratic Party because all that money that goes to military spending could really go into the neighborhoods and improving the neighborhood and social programs. And also, the Republicans, they like to focus more on the Second Amendment, the ability to bear arms. Now, when you're a black man, you really want to focus on protecting your family, which means having arms. And when you have weapons, a lot of people try not to rob houses that they know the guy in there has a lot of weapons. Like, you're not gonna go and rob a bank that's heavily guarded with guards. You're gonna go to a bank that's not heavily guarded, that probably doesn't even have a gun law. So it's very safe over here for raising families, and because not everybody has a gun out here in Canada. It's very strict. So you see, it's very safe to grow a family here in Canada as opposed to America, where the gun laws are not so strict, but then you can also protect yourself. So this will be very favorable for the single black male. Now, also the Republicans have been known to really favor the old-fashioned marriage, between a man and a wife. They look down upon, the LGBT, and also they're against abortion. They really are more pro-life, and they're more religious. Now, this is where I really find it confusing, that a lot of blacks are religious, but yet they tend to go towards the Democratic Party, who are not so much religious. As you can see, if you love the Lord, as you say, and you go to church all the time, then you would lean more towards the Republican ideals, who focus more on the morality that comes from the Bible. But with the Democrats, they support more the LGBTQ, the same-sex marriage, and this leads a lot to why the marriage rate between single mothers in the black community are so high, that 70% of them, 70 to 80% are single mothers with children. But if they were more towards the Republican and the old-fashioned, having a traditional marriage, then they would see how the Republican is a better side to favor upon. But Democrats favor abortions, they're pro-choice. A lot of this stuff does not coincide with the Bible, even though black people like to coincide more with religion and what it teaches. But this is where they seem to differ. And the reason because of this is because a lot of the black women have children out of wedlock. So the next thing with the Republicans is that they believe in balanced budget, and of course with a smaller government you don't have to spend so much. So you can already see that with a men mentality, they always are thinking about how they can reduce their spending, budget billing. It's not like the government is not a Visa card that you can just go and buy everything that you want. But with the Democrats, they believe that we don't have to have a balanced budget. We just go and spend for everything. So that's why they can say stuff like, we need free health care, we need, free education, we need free social programs. And the only way you can really afford this is by raising taxes. And who's going to pay for these taxes? Mostly the rich and wealthy. That's why a lot of men, single black men, when they get to a certain threshold and they start making money, they see that a lot of their taxes are going into these social programs. So they rather have less taxes so they can put more money into their business. So really, these high taxes really only benefit the women and children. And next thing, the Republicans believe in decreased immigration and increased jobs, and also lower unemployment rate. That is what they like to focus on. Now, a lot of times people say that when we close the borders, that this is a form of racism. But really, this benefits black men, because when you don't have a lot of immigration coming in and taking all these extra jobs, that means black men can actually apply for these jobs and have a chance to get these jobs. But if you have a lot of immigration coming in and taking all these jobs, making it hard for black men to actually get these jobs. But when you have stricter immigration, a lot of these jobs now become available for the lower class black male. Now, if you're on welfare, this doesn't apply to you. You know, that means you favor increased immigration, you favor government spending, and you're not too worried about the unemployment rate, as that's why the Democrats would be in your favor if you're an immigrant. So, next thing is the Republicans, they favor law and order. As Democrats, they believe that we really should defund the police and put that more into social programs again. Now, I find that we really should continue the law and order, because when you look at the black community, there's a lot of crime going on in the black community, and they cannot afford to have defunding of the police. It really should maintain the same, because the crime is very high. So this is why it really would favor in the black community that we should not defund the police. Now, when you look at Trump in the Republican Party, he's a person that you really see speaks their mind, authentic, and means what they say. Now, this is very attractive to males, because when it comes down to males, we always are talking about speaking our word, making our word bond, and that's how you judge a man's character, by delivering what he says. So that's why when they see somebody like Trump, when he gets up there and he speaks the truth and says what he means, even though some of his rhetoric may sound racist, but is he telling the truth? And that's why we see when he speaks his mind, it's almost like he's speaking like it's very attractive to males, as opposed to when you see the Democratic Party, they've really been criticized for not being a very authentic, very hidden with their messages. They promise now and then later they ditch you, like what they did to Ice Cube. Ice Cube, he knows both parties are racist, but the Republicans were willing to speak with him and tell him what they have on their mind. But with the Democratic Party, they said, oh, just vote for us, and then as soon as we get into office, then we'll speak to you. So you see, that's not very being authentic. So that's not very attractive to males, especially black males. So that's why suppose you're buying a house and you have a mortgage broker. You have a mortgage broker that just wants to do the sale, and they'll tell you everything that you want to hear, and they say, oh, no worry, no problem, William, you can get this property, no problem, you're gonna get approved, just go ahead and apply for it, even though the mortgage broker knows that you're not going to get approved. That is something like the Democratic Party, that just vote for us and we'll take care of you once we get into office. Or you could have the mortgage broker tell you the truth right from the beginning and tell you that, no, William, this property that you're trying to get, you're not going to get approved for. So don't even try to apply for it. You really should apply for this smaller house that you can afford. And that's why we see the Republicans are very authentic, and they just tell you the truth and they get right down to business. And that's what is very attractive to males, especially the black men. So, anyways, guys, it's William from YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Bye.